at a brunch, and then we do prayer stations. And so yesterday I chatted with Chris about ways that we could do prayer stations virtually with things that they have at home. So some ideas that we had come up with were you could still do candle prayers. You could have everybody has candles at home, so have them grab a candle and light it as they say a prayer. We talked about doing Band-Aids. This has always been a good one. They can hear you. We've talked about doing, it's always been a big hit with my kids I've always drawn a cross on a piece of paper, and then they can write prayers of healing on a Band-Aid and add it to a piece of paper. But I thought maybe having them write their prayer of healing on a Band-Aid and then putting it on their hand so they can think about it as they go through the day. Shoot, I'm drawing a blank. What else? We talked about like 2 or 3 other ones, Chris. Talked about
do a praying in color. So like reading the Good Friday scripture and having them pull images that come in, and then also like holding a coin.
Yes.
And talking about the like betrayal, like betrayed them or ways that they've betrayed other people.
Yep.
And then we talked about like vinegar, but we didn't like go in depth about, but that would be something that people might have at home.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And Laura, I can type these up.
I think that was all.
Yeah, Laura, I'll type them up and send our in our Facebook page. Are you in there? No. Okay. Well,
I'll get them emailed to you. We'll make sure that these are available for people who need them. So I need you guys' email addresses. So, yep. Is there other things that you would like to share, Sarah, or are you good? You're good?
Just like a moment of kind of lamenting and whining. I wrote my newsletter article this week when you talk about planning ahead, and it was the most depressing and repetitive newsletter I think I've ever written. Like, oh, this isn't happening, check back later. Oh, this isn't happening, check back later. Oh, yeah, we've got our eye on VBS. We don't know if it's going to happen, check back later. Like, it just, But no, I don't have other resources to share right now. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. Thank you. You shared a lot. And I see a new person on the screen. I see an Alan Mortensen. Alan, can you share your name and where you serve?
I'm Alan Mortensen. I'm a SAM. I serve the southeastern part of our synod. I serve with Pastor Dalmone for Calvary of Little Sauk, Zion of Browerville, Shepherd of the Valley, and Clarissa and Faith Lutheran Eagle Bend. I do a family Wednesday night service that focuses mainly on kids 5th grade and younger.
Thank you for being able to join us, Alan. So does anyone else have resources that are going really well now that we're kind of maybe getting in a rhythm of things? Or things that you tried that you thought were going to work and then they were a flop? Because it's always good to learn from mistakes. So yeah.
All right, well, I gave it a whirl and tried out some Google Forms for sermon notes so that kids could still reply. And then I got their email addresses. That was great. So they've been pretty responsive from that. And it was kind of surprising with the kids that normally don't turn in sermon notes, but are pretty tech savvy, that they were the ones to reply. So then I've been using the Remind app to send out that information. And then when I get it back from them via email, then I'll send them a text saying like, hey, thanks for doing this. And we haven't really decided officially yet if this is a no count for sermon notes, but it's just good to check in with kids, hear their highs and lows from the week, what their prayer requests are. It's blowing my mind where these kids are at, what's on their hearts, like specifically naming very detailed things. And I mean, just, and some people I've been hearing comments, oh, well, kids don't really understand what's going on. It's like, no, they are, and they're hearing a lot more than what we're giving them credit for. And it's incredible. So that kind of keeps me in check as well, hearing seeing their prayer requests. That's been a good thing to read. But then one of the other congregations, the kids just have to text me their what the scripture was and how they're doing as well. So that's been a good thing to use the Remind app, and Google Forms has been very helpful. It also helps if you have an IT person from the school who's a parent who teaches confirmation classes. Highly recommend them. They are very fantastic to have, a great blessing. So that's what I'm doing here at Faith River.
Thank you. Are people doing like youth group and Sunday school via Zoom, sending like videos out? How are people connecting?
We're doing a devotion time for young people twice a week via Zoom. And so it's just kept to 15 or 20 minutes doing the Lectio Divina, and then staying available after if anybody wants to stay. And so we've had about 15 or 16. We've done it twice. And so it's been well received. And so it's nice, and a few people that we haven't expected to see. So hopefully that continues, and as we get to be consistent with it.
This is Susie from Trinity, and I've done Zoom, a middle school and a high school youth group on Wednesday nights. And we had more people last night than we had the week before, and it's nice to just connect and play some games and hear how they're doing. And I've been trying to use our Instagram account a little bit more. A lot of our youth follow that, and so it's just a way to kind of send out some different positive messages to them that way. So, and still trying to find some new ways too.
Alan again. One of the things that I do, I'm not sure if I'm going right now.
Yep, you are.
Oh, okay. We have a Wednesday night family service, and I gear it for the ages, well, I suppose it's, grades 5 and toddlers. And we got that going again, and we're doing it on Zoom and YouTube. And I've been told it's the most normal thing that we see going on because it continues. So I do the regular service, which is an abbreviated service anyway, about 30 minutes. So last night, I think it was like 25, but I have a lot of different things because the kids would always make me a cross each and every week. And so now I'm having kids make a cross, any paper cross, and text it to me or email it to me. And then I print those off and I show them. So I pretend I'm wearing my cross, and we're connecting, and the kids are doing the same things. The response is the same thing, and it's working well. And I'm going to continue to do it even next week during Holy Week on Wednesday, because it's just what they expect. And it's now they're doing it at their dining room table instead of in the church. I was a mental health practitioner just prior to this. So I've been focusing on what it would be like to be anxious and worried and concerned and just have all these feelings that you don't know what they are like. And I've been doing that and focusing on that each week, and then put some scripture to it. I also write like on Alanism each and every week that fits with the message, and to help them to remember different things. And then last night it was just on counting and taking deep breaths and knowing that Jesus is always there. And one other thing too is, no, I forgot it, but yeah, I always have a response that they always say, and right now it's having the kids go out with sidewalk chalk. Jesus is here with us.
Thank you so much, Alan. What a gift to be a mental health professional, to walk with your congregations during this time. It's such a hard and tender time. Yeah, trying to take care, to check in on the people in your congregation, the vulnerable people, but also to take care of yourselves too. Is so important. Eating well, instead of all the junk and comfort food that I want to eat, and making sure that you allow yourself sleep, whether or not you actually can sleep or not, but to give yourself sleep, and to move your body, which is a little bit easier when it's but yeah, so take care of your congregation is important, but taking care of yourself, like that whole, like, you have to put your own air mask on yourself before helping other people. It's important to take care of yourself, and I'm saying that to myself as well, as a reminder. So one thing I want to kind of talk about also is kind of summer plans, and I don't mean to put Maddie on the spot. Like, you have a little insight to like a different world of people who work a lot in the summer. So I'm just kind of wondering if you have some insights on what's going on in like summer camps, and kind of if like what's going on.
Yeah, the summer camp world, as you can probably imagine, we are in conference meetings almost every morning with our national conference, which is Lutheran Outdoor Ministries. And then for accredited camps like Luther Crest, then we also jump on the ACA, which is the American Camping Association, their conference calls to see nationally what people are doing. And it really varies from state to state and area to area. And here in Alexandria, we're trying to work really close with like Parks and Rec and those kinds of people to see what plans are. But I think likely summer camp and summer plans in general, I think we can all agree.
Put on some hot dish for you.
I think we can all agree that it's going to look a lot different, no matter how you slice it. And I think many many camps like us are just making contingency plans of, if we meet this threshold, this is what our plan is, and if we meet this threshold, that's what our plan is. But most camps are waiting to announce those plans with just this like tiny bit of hope that that our summer can happen in the way that we planned it. This tiny shred of hope. So like at Luther Crest, they have a board meeting every Saturday since all of this kind of started. And so they talk about it every Saturday. What are we doing with our full-time staff? What are we doing with our summer staff? All of those things. But certainly it will look different on our end, and I think in Parks and Rec end, no matter how you slice it, when people arrive, the process has to be different. So there's going to be additional measures, additional prereqs before you arrive, and we even talked about the doctors, the temperature swabs that they do now. Yeah, so we've gotten some of those. Because that's what we decided as a team that we would do when people arrive, whenever that can happen. So, in the possibility of summer camp not happening is really real, I think, for all summer camp organizations. And so that's our day camp program too. We were talking with a camp in Montana yesterday, and in their neck of the woods, they were even told by the public health officials that they weren't even allowed to bring in staff members because they hire people from all over the world. And so they just said, no, you can't do that. And so then they were like, well, we can't do summer camp without our staff, so the factors are really different. Like at Luther Crest, and I think some of the Minnesota camps, we don't typically hire so many people from outside. So I don't think that is on us. I think where this affects many, many congregations is when it comes to day camp. What does that mean? So like on our end, we're preparing curriculum that we can provide regardless, so that if people can reschedule their day camp for another week towards the end of the summer or something like that, that they'll have that. And we're doing that just in case, just in case in the next few weeks we get more information about what May looks like or what June looks like. And I think we can all agree it doesn't look great. So, but there are things that summer camps can do that other organizations can't do. Like I know, Chris, you were talking about like gatherings, and in camps there is some just like general separation that we could lean into if we're allowed to. So we're just making lots of contingency plans of this or this or this, and I think my gut is telling me 100% it's going to look different, and I think that probably the beginning of the summer for sure is going to look different or reorganized. So yeah, pray for your outdoor ministry people, because the summer camp season, that's I think probably many of you are camp people or are connected with the camp, and the camp is why outdoor ministry professionals do what they do, the kids and the summer staff. And to imagine a summer without those things, even if we can provide alternatives, is just pretty devastating. Even just to think about it is pretty devastating. So I don't know if that answers your question, Chris, but it's a lot of unknowns still, but the known thing is it's gonna be different for sure.
Thank you so much, Maddie. So just kind of going down, are people making contingency plans, holding out hope? Like, what are you doing for summer stuff? We'll just go quick down the line because I want to honor people's time and it's almost lunch. So, Laura.
Yeah, so at Trinity, we were supposed to do a building project this summer. So our summer is going to look very different anyways. And our council has decided to delay that a year. And so that's also a huge point of lament for us of just, we were very much preparing for a different summer in general. So in some ways it's a blessing that like our VBS, and we had kind of said, we're going to take a pause this summer and then return in 2021. So that decision for us has kind of been made. But yeah, we're living into it because we kind of didn't know what summer was going to look like. And we had to think differently because we couldn't be on site this summer. So Susie more has the older youth, like some trips and things like that. But so blessing and not, I don't know, we were kind of already thinking differently, but also next summer, hopefully we will do our building projects. So it's still going to look different. So I don't know if Susie, you want to speak to older youth stuff where you're at?
Yeah, Susie.
Yeah, I think that piece of holding out hope, like have not made decisions yet, but knowing that realistically some need to be made. Our high school trip is the end of June. So, and then we have a middle school trip in July and a intergenerational habitat trip in August. So all of those are on different timelines and would be impacted differently. So yeah, I would love to hear what others are kind of thinking at this moment, and knowing that decisions have to be made soon. So
Jessica, are you and Laura for Euland, what's going on there?
Well, our pastor is kind of just doing like online worship. She's doing like a daily, we have a puppet, Freddie. So she does like a daily, like a kids devotional, which is kind of geared towards adults too. So she's kind of reaching out that way wise. We're kind of really like just thinking of things like I'm going to reach out to Christian Ed and just see if there's other things that we should be doing too.
Mm-hmm. Do you have, what are you planning things for the summer, or are you on hold for the smer?
Well, I mean, we have our,
yeah,
we're kind of hoping, being hopeful, I suppose. We have our, what do you call it?
Vacation Bible School day camp.
Yes, totally drawing a blank. Yes, that we have that planned out. We had really great ideas, and I mean, maybe we'll just have to postpone it for a while. We'll just we're just being hopeful for right now. So.
Madison.
Well, we're having a meeting Saturday for one of the councils, and the other one will be on Zoom next Tuesday, and just checking in with others. I started in October. This is all new. And so we're just kind of taking it day by day, getting a lot of feedback that kids are feeling, especially our elementary kids, which are very active in the congregations. They are feeling quite overwhelmed right now with all the online schooling resources and connections, and even like music lessons are happening online. So I'm like, kudos to them being creative, getting that energy out. But also the, yeah, like even sports practices are online. And so kids are just feeling like digitally overwhelmed. So coming up with like Christ in the Home Care Kid Kits, maybe dropping off supplies for if parents want to sign up, figuring out those kinds of details, how to get a hold of parents. It's hard because before all of this, parents really did not want to engage, and now it's even harder because we're not seeing each other in person. So can't have those awkward conversations in person. So we're getting through, but most things are on hold till the end of the school year is what we've been unofficially been discussing. So I'll have more next time because of meeting Saturday. So
Tyler, what's your kind of, how's the planning going for you guys?
So right before this kind of blew up, I had been in negotiations with trying to do a Boundary Waters canoe trip and kind of put that all on pause. I was getting in trouble just having my kids kind of get back to me and kind of hearing through the grapevine that there were kids that were interested but hadn't officially done anything yet. And so that's been, you know, I've been hearing rumblings still of what's going on with it. And it's kind of like, it's just in limbo. I mean, it didn't even feel appropriate as this stuff was going on to even try finalizing the dates and stuff that we were going to do. We had also purchased the last property on our block, and we were they're looking at tearing down a house, and there's this old shed that was going to be a youth project for that, and they were going to look at possibly accelerating it for taking down the building. And now when the building will be taken down, that's a whole thing up in question. I know the cohort who deals with our younger youth, we're still planning on trying to do VBS, but again, it's the whole process of what's going on and trying to take it day by day. There's so much where we don't know what's going on that it's hard to try. You don't want to put the false hope out there is kind of the approach, I guess, that we've been taking, and say that it's we're working on it, but you're kind of just waiting to see.
Thank you. Yeah, we heard. Jill, things in what, like, for you?
Pretty much the same as what I'm hearing from others. Cautiously optimistic, but actually being pretty realistic that things will change. And so we're just living into the moment and taking them kind of week by week, and trying to build some consistent activities that can stay, and then adding to that. So we're hopeful for a day camp with Luther Crest, and so just holding our breath to see what the next several weeks bring, I guess.
Things seem to be changing so fast all the time. One thing that was brought up, I'm part of the Synod training, I'm Synod Assembly planning team, of course, is if we postponed it to the fall, how many things are going to be postponed to the fall? You know, because fall is already a very busy time. Like, do we just keep adding things to it too? And so it's, you know, it's like such a give and take sort of thing because the stuff is so good. But is it worth like adding even more things to an already busy fall too? Sarah, you kind of already shared a little bit, but can you?
So we're trying to survive the next 2 months. I haven't really given summer a whole lot of thought yet, which I need to. So as you all saw, I have a teeny tiny baby. And because of that, I was way behind on making summer trip plans for our senior hires. So we didn't have a senior high trip on the books yet, which now is kind of a blessing that I don't have a senior high trip to try to reschedule. My church kids are disappointed, but so I serve in Barnesville, and the school does a couple big trips. So some of them are going to Costa Rica this summer and can't afford to go on another trip anyway. So, and I don't know what's happening with that trip. They haven't said anything yet, if the school's still going or not. Vacation Bible School, we normally do the third week in July. So we are just kind of keeping an eye on things. We're hopeful and optimistic that we'll be able to do something in some capacity for our families by the middle of July. But we're also realistic, knowing that this could be a lot longer than any of us want it to be. And that we might have to change those things. Camp, we haven't really talked about camp yet. Our youth committee helps financially support families that go to camp. But we don't know what that looks like. I'm gonna have to keep talking to the Pathways office and seeing what they're gonna do, how they're gonna handle that, especially with our June campers, and what that looks like. Oh, are you showing off your pen? We're trying to do homework at the same time. Yay, preschool homework.
Jay, are you still on?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay.
Can you hear me? I'm not
Yep.
popping up on my. There you go. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Oh yeah, for summer, it's kind of like with Tyler situation. Actually, I got a relationship with this guy that we've been connecting. It's called Rockford Work Camps in Rockford, Illinois, and I bet they're up in the air because they got restrictions of the churches already that we normally stay at have already said that they're going to continue the social distancing and that. So that puts a curve and the needs of the people, and like it's been canceled, but if things were to change, there's ways that we can get back into it because I have a good relationship with the guy. But right now we have communicated with our families that has been, we don't use the word postponed, said canceled, because it's right at the beginning of July. There's other opportunities that if things got better that we can do. It might not, what Sarah said, a lot of our camping or for the summer was through Pathways with day camp and sending kids there. So we just, one of our members at Messiah is on the board. I don't know if she's still in an executive position or not, but Sue has kind of been our vocal person back and forth. And then the other thing we did in the summer is like these campfire nights. So again, it's just, those are things that we don't have to do if we're in the situation like now, and we can find different ways to connecting, like what we're doing now. We have to have a virtual summer. I guess that's what we'll do, but that's kind of where we're at. And then nobody said this, but I don't know about where you guys are, but you know, we're trying to get kids prepared to sign up for the National Youth Gathering in September. And when we did this in Houston 3 years ago, I mean, we already had meetings, and so we're way behind in that. So that's another thing. Hopefully we can get on board to get a group ready to be prepared to sign up in September. So that's where we're at.
Yeah, I'm wearing my ELCA Youth Gathering shirt. If you got gathering questions, I've got answers. And I don't have tons of answers right now, but I will be putting out maybe next week, a doodle poll to have a Zoom meeting about the ELCA Youth Gathering. I've been getting information from them, and they're still planning a normal gathering. Things are going as planned, so keep that on your calendar. And so I will be doing a Zoom call about the ELCA gathering and preparing for that after Easter. Let's get through Holy Week and Easter. So yeah. Leah, I have you.
Yeah, just kind of repeating everybody. We haven't canceled anything, from baccalaureate in May to VBA. We usually have that very first week in June. We had a few fundraisers in place for our National Youth Gathering group, and just Bible camp that a lot of people have signed up for and are wondering if that's still happening. So lots of question marks. Don't want to squash anyone's hopes, but also moving forward, being realistic and communicating and just saying we're all waiting to make decisions and we're just having to be patient in the process. But hopeful. We did move our first communion and our confirmation that was this spring, and like you had talked about, are trying to move it to the fall, which is going to be a crazy fall, but we don't want to postpone those for an entire year. So that's about where we're at.
Thank you. Cindy, how are things going up in War Road? Are you still making plans?
Do I push something? No.
Nope, you're good.
Okay. We had lots of plans made at the beginning of March, before this all happened. We decided to combine, and now of course this won't happen, but May 3rd was going to be the last Sunday school, and we're going to combine it as a youth Sunday kind of, because of scheduling things, other robotics and stuff. Seniors would be gone, because we usually do a senior acknowledgement, and we're going to move the presentation of Bibles for kindergarten and first grade was going to be on May 3rd instead of in the fall, because the fall church-wise is already very busy. So that was going to be kind of a youth deal, and they give all the seniors, members of the church, fleece blanket, tied blanket, which I don't know how I'm thinking about that. I don't know how they're coming along now in the next month, but because that hasn't met either. But anyway, our Bible school is scheduled for July 26th through 30th, and we bring in Pathways counselors for our Bible school at that time. So no, we have not talked about that being changed or whatever. We have to wait and find out what lies ahead with that. So in the fall, the last year we started it, introducing our confirmands, one at each service, Sunday service. So that, and it just, their mentor introduces them, or it can be a parent or grandparent, usually isn't a parent, but a grandparent or aunt or something, uncle. And just trying to make attempts at getting our older congregation members and our younger congregation members knowing each other better, trying to cross those lines a little bit better than we have in the past. So anyway, we have not met again. We're supposed to meet now April 7th. That won't happen either, I'm sure. And I'm guessing we just won't have Sunday school again. So I don't know. Mm-hmm. And we haven't really done much with what's going on now, making any plans on contacts and stuff. Though at Bible school last year, we did get everybody's email address, and the church of course has everybody's, but we had them fill that out, and maybe that's standard, I don't know. But we do have, a way to contact all the Sunday school kids and confirmand kids through email, and that's been done. But I haven't been involved in that. Somebody else is doing that. So anyway, that's what I know.
Thanks, Cindy. Alan, how are your summer plans, or how are you moving forward with so many question marks? You're still muted.
Okay, we're going to continue with our family service as long as we need. We usually stop at the end of this school year, but that may continue. We're on hold with VBS and Luther Crest Day Camp right now, and we'll see how that goes. But Luther Crest Day Camp is the end of July, so I hope that will help. Otherwise, it's just trying to connect with our people from our 4 churches, and especially those who aren't able to do technology or have the means to do that. So that's our big plan right now.
I like the idea of the continuing things like regularly through the summer instead of kind of that summer break. So there's some consistency. I like that idea, Alan. Andrea, how are things at Grand Park, Rolog, Livian Waters?
They are kind of just up in the air. We're taking it week by week. Not really planning too much more for the summer. We're part of the Steamer Hill weekend up at Steam Threshers Reunion. We have a food booth, and we're almost wondering, even though that's like end of August and beginning of September over Labor Day, if that might end up being canceled because a lot of people travel from outside of Minnesota and within Minnesota. And then VBS would be mid-August this year if we have it, and possibly doing the 36-hour trip with Our Savior's Moorhead and Barnesville, depending on things. And that's the Twin Cities, so that would be within Minnesota. But I think we're just holding on to hope and seeing what happens, and not canceling anything yet, but not really saying too much more about it at this point. Just, we don't know what it'll end up looking like, and then looking at other ways to provide some faith formation stuff to families throughout the summer to continue the faith formation, even if it's a little bit less than during the school year, for some consistency.
Yeah. Ugh, holding out hope. Ken, what are the plans for Bethlehem? How are you planning stuff?
Again, with it being hard to talk, I've been typing something up. I'll just submit that right now. So
Okay.
I don't have to do a lot, but I
Thank
just
you.
got into chat right now.
Okay. The YouthWorks canceled the middle school trip in June, so he's creating his own mission trip for them in August. Hopi and Senior High, 3 big fundraisers. I've been thinking about fundraisers because the spring and Lenten suppers and different things have been kind of, I've been thinking about that, but also congregations are worried about offering as well. So just kind of it's such a unique time to be the church and planning things together and all of that. All right, so we are into your guys' lunch hour. I have another Zoom at 1. And so thank you for this time together. If you send me some resources, I can post some different resources, email resources. I wrote down everyone who's on the call, and so I can send out resources as I get them. Ken sent me a resource as well. I want to pray the prayer of good courage from Holden Village. O God, you have called your servants to ventures of which we cannot see the ending, by paths as yet untrodden, through perils unknown. Give us faith to go out with good courage, not knowing where we go, but only that your hand is leading us and your love supporting us. Through Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen. I feel like I say that prayer like twice a day, and it's just like, so yeah. So I'm praying for all of you guys, hoping that you are doing well yourselves as you're walking with your congregations during this time. And I look forward, and we'll do this meeting, and we might try a Google Hangout. The Synod is switching to Google. And so I might try to do this as a Google Hangout next time, but I'll send you the information. You guys can be my test crew of leading a Google Hangout maybe. So I'll send you the information, but thank you. Praying for you. You guys take care. Bye.
Bye.